Hey gunfighters, welcome to the Final Shot Saloon. I'm your host Clint, and today we're going to go back in time a little bit to 1955, the life and legend of Wyatt Earp. This had 229 episodes, and it starred Hugh O'Brian as Wyatt Earp. I actually found this on the Pluto streaming service. It's a free streaming service. They have like 5 channels of westerns, older westerns, some newer. But what I enjoyed about this is that you can find on this Pluto TV, you can actually find Hopalong Cassidy, Gunsmoke, Have Gun Will Travel, Wanted Dead or Alive, or The Life Legend of Wyatt Earp, and some other ones. So it's been kind of fun to watch. I have not seen, before I get into my little discussion here, I have not seen every single episode. I started it, I think I'm on season 2, but I've seen bits of almost every stage of this show. I've seen, well, we'll get into it. Now, seeing that this was produced in 1955 and the television was invented in 1927, but the 50s were kind of the birth of television, only saying that more homes were starting to get them. So with that said, I do have to put a little disclaimer in here. Some of the acting, some of the stories aren't what we have even today. They kind of go off the romance. I'm just talking about westerns. They kind of go off the romance of the Old West. Not so much documentation or documentary style. It's pretty clear cut. Good guys, bad guys. And I still find these older series a lot of fun. They kind of intrigue me at times because not every culture is represented well in these, but it is kind of the birth of the television Western. So there is a lot of play, like I said, on the history of the Old West, but it's still entertaining even in the least. Well, with all that said, let's get into it. I just like to put that disclaimer in there because it's not everybody's cup of tea. It's just not. And I personally, I'm a fan of the old West shows. Anyway, this series is lightly based on Wyatt Earp and his start. We go through Wichita, Dodge, and then Tombstone, which is kind of cool because I kind of picked up on this Pluto TV almost 1 or 2 episodes of each city, so it was really kind of neat to catch all of them. But we meet plenty of old Western legends, Bat Masterson, Doc Holliday, Virgil Earp. This series was going to be the first adult Western. I believe they had Hopalong Cassidy was the first, but that was kind of more towards the kids. They kind of deal with a little more adult stuff for that time in Wyatt Earp. This series actually premiered apparently 4 days before Gunsmoke, the Juggernaut, on September 6th, 1955. Gunsmoke premiered September 10th, 1955. And to be honest, for it to last 6 seasons is a testament to how good the show was at that time. Half-hour long shows, black and white. It, like I said, I think Hopalong Cassidy was in 1951, and even if you look at the life and legend of Wyatt Earp, it's pretty light compared to the heavy drama stuff that we get today, but it's still what I consider the birth of our westerns of today. That's kind of where it all started. You probably wouldn't have Yellowstone or some of these other ones if you didn't have, like, say, Gunsmoke, Life Legend of Wyatt Earp. You know, it all kind of starts somewhere. So kind of cool. Let's talk about Hugh O'Brian a little bit. Hugh O'Brian was the star of Wyatt Earp. He was Wyatt Earp. He was born Hugh Charles Kremp on April 19th, 1925 in Rochester, New York. Parents John and Edith. Hugh's father was an officer in the Marines, and Hugh actually joined the Marines, and he was the youngest drill instructor at the age of 17 in the Marines. He became an actor when attending a rehearsal for his girlfriend and read some lines for an actor who dropped out. You got to do it for the ladies, you know what I mean? His first role was a sailor in 1948 in Kidnapped. In 1955, Hugh O'Brian was supposedly grabbed for the role of Wyatt Earp because he kind of looked physically like a younger Wyatt Earp. I haven't seen any episodes with Wyatt Earp with a mustache, and so I kind of had to do some research on that. Apparently, in Hollywood, to distinguish, at least for television, I guess, the bad guys from the good guys rarely had a mustache. Maybe that's the clean cut, all American fella. I don't know, but if you had facial hair, you were going to be probably a bad guy or, you know, an outlaw of some sort. What I did find in my little research here, my simple research, is I found an interview with Hugh O'Brian, who talks about learning fast draw, or quick draw is what he called it. And Orville Ojala made the double rig for O'Brian at the studio. The studio would not buy him this $75 rig. Can you believe it? And so through this, because he wanted to learn fast draw, and he learned from Ojala because he was he was a fast draw teacher at the time and a holster maker. So they wouldn't buy him the holster. And even after the show was doing well, after a few weeks or a month or whatever it was, he went back and asked him, would you buy this holster for me? You know, he's probably a struggling actor, I don't know. And they still said no. If you want to do that, you buy it yourself. We're done with this. We have plenty of holsters. According to this interview, excuse me, he decided with the prop master and a few others that they were going to start their own rental company. It was called the National Gun Rental, and they went around and bought holsters and guns and saddles and all this stuff, and that's what he did with the first money that he got from Wyatt Earp. And it's funny because he says in this interview that holster alone, by renting it, he made $2,000. Now, if you think about 1955, 1961, if you think about it, it doesn't seem like a lot, but it really kind of is if you're just renting that holster. So the studio still paid him. Probably would have been cheaper to buy the holster outright. So I found that pretty cool. He did have some physical ailments because he was shooting full powder blanks. I guess he was a tad deaf, and I did find that he did as many stunts as he possibly could by himself. So I think that's a testament to Hugh O'Brian. I think that's really cool. It always seemed like this show, just the maybe 20 episodes I've seen, it always kind of had a little moral thought to it, which is okay. I think we kind of need more of that. kind of had that moral code, good versus evil, law and order. Far from the spaghetti westerns that we have later in the 70s, or even the shows today. They're not as heavy. It's not really heavy based. I mean, you're talking about a half-hour show, and you pretty much have to get everything done right away. There's not really a lot of build up in these, and that's probably what I like about them. You can get them done in a half hour and still get entertained. So let's talk about the cast real quick. Hugh O'Brian, of course, Wyatt Earp. Morgan Woodward, who I actually like. I've seen him in, he played a couple of roles on Gunsmoke. He actually played in 42 episodes in the life and legend of Wyatt Earp, 1958 to 1961, as Shotgun Gibbs, deputy and sidekick. One of the cool episodes was when Marshall Earp actually goes and talks to Shotgun Gibbs, and they talk about his powerful loads, and check it out if you can. He actually starred in Wagon Train a couple times, and he appeared in Gunsmoke, Rawhide, and Bonanza. He plays a rough cowboy, and I kind of enjoy that. He reminds me of a guy I shot with in Fast Draw. One thing is, Woodward actually said that the first time him and Wyatt Earp had a day on set, Hugh O'Brian walked up to Woodward and said, pretty much said, "This is my show. I won't be upstaged." Kind of cool. Kind of really set the stage, right? It is his show. So, Mason Allen Dinehart as Bat Masterson, Ray Boyle as Morgan Earp, John Anderson and Ross Elliott as Virgil Earp, Douglas Fowler, Myron Healy as Doc Holliday. I did notice they did switch. I caught a couple episodes where Doc Holliday wasn't the same Doc Holliday. And I don't know if I saw him in reverse order, because I actually thought the guy that I saw later was a little skinnier, so I thought they were playing him to be sick. That was not the case. It actually turns out that Myron Healy took over for Douglas Fowley when he apparently went to do a movie. So that's kind of what happened there. And I noticed that they were two different people, but I was kind of like, are they playing him sick? That's quite a feat. So now Hugh O'Brian actually got to play Wyatt Earp a few times in different shows. He actually played Wyatt Earp in 2 episodes of Guns of Paradise and in The Gambler Returns, The Luck of the Draw. And then he returned in 1994. Wyatt Earp returned to Tombstone with colorized flashbacks of Hugh as Wyatt Earp. I am going to check those out because it does sound kind of cool. Because I do like this show. I think it's one of those that, if you like the history of Westerns, I think you do yourself a disservice if you don't look back at least the television versions of Westerns. Because I think they all have their place and purpose as far as checking them out. And I think you'll have an appreciation for today's Westerns even more when you go back and you see some of the not this one, but not so good Westerns. You'll have an appreciation for today's even more. Now Hugh actually has quite a few Westerns under his belt. The Shootist with John Wayne, The Brass Legend, The Man from Alamo, Drums Across the River, Broken Lance, The Stand, at Apache River, The Lawless Breed, The Cimarron Kid, Battle at Apache Pass, The Return of Jesse James, and Gunsmoke, The Last Apache. Now, I haven't seen any of these. Believe it or not, I don't believe I think I've seen Gunsmoke, The Last Apache, but I don't remember him in it. So I'm really I want to check these out. The real Wyatt Earp has always had a shady past, just pretty much like anybody at that time. Hollywood's always taken liberties, especially of Wyatt Earp's real story. I'm still unsure of the bunt line. I've read 3 different articles with 3 different ways of doing it. The bunt line's the extra long barrel 6-gun. Apparently this was created by the biography from Stewart and Lake. He said he carried it. They did add it to the series, which I think is cool because he basically uses it like a skullcracker. We even see it in the movie Tombstone in 1993, starring Kurt Russell as the legendary lawman. I don't mind stuff like this. I think it's fun. If I really wanted a true story, I would either read True West magazine or I'd watch a documentary on it and get the closest that I can to the real story. When I watch a movie, when I watch a television show, I don't look for supreme realism. I like to be entertained. I like to be odd. I like my emotions to run high, low. It doesn't matter to me. I just want that experience. And like I said, when I watch like this half-hour show, I just have to be entertained for 30 minutes, which is just fine. So I don't mind them taking liberties with some history. I do, if you do a documentary and you're supposed to be telling me the truth about it, I don't like liberties at all. I want the facts. So this was written by Frederick Hazelit, Brennan, John Dunkel, Daniel B. Ullman, directed by Paul Landis, Frank McDonald, Roy Rowland, and Sidney Silko. And apparently I need glasses, so if you guys see me really struggling, I apologize. I got to make this text bigger. The Ken Darby Singers did the theme song for the show, and the only reason I mention it is it will stick in your head, stick in your ears for a while, because I watch it before work and I start humming it on the way in. They were up for some awards in 57, Best Continuous Actor, Best Teleplay. Hugh O'Brian passed away September 5th, 2016 at 91. So my overall review of just the episodes that I've seen, I do like it. I'm a fan of the black and white westerns. I'm a fan of the older westerns. I'm also a fan of the new westerns. But I do like to go back and watch the old Gunsmokes, Wanted Dead or Alive, Have Gun Will Travels. They're the beginning. You know, we did have movies back then, but I think for television, this is kind of what the history of it is kind of cool to me. And to see the different sets is what I would like to say too, is I like to see that some of it was in a studio, some of it was out in a, out on location somewhere on a back lot. It's kind of neat. I find it very fun. But if you're interested in watching Life and Legend of Wyatt Earp, it is streaming on some providers for free. I hope you enjoy it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, if you've seen it, if you like it, or if you don't like it, or if I'm totally off base on anything on this one. But I am going to do a few of these. I'm just going to call these the classic episodes. So yeah, this has been my little simple discussion of Life Legend of Wyatt Earp, starring Hugh O'Brian as Wyatt Earp. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and it's closing time, people.